Hello and welcome to episode 216 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
The Wall 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter, and please subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify if you can.
Jack Williams is here.
Hi, everybody.
And I think he's just about calmed down from the weekend. Dan Bayliss is here.
Not quite.
Say hello. Hello to the listeners. Hello, listeners. Harry, we thought last week we were going to be looking up the table. All the worries were over, relegation back of our minds. We come hurtling back down to earth with a defeat against lowly Bournemouth. It actually lifted them out of the relegation zone. Just your thoughts to begin with.
Well, obviously we all thought on the last podcast we'd easily win this game. I think the whole of Molineux did because it was a very flat atmosphere. Again, I mentioned after Liverpool, after that brilliant atmosphere that day, if it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, can Molineux be a fortress? Can it get behind the team to try and help them get a result or a goal? And it wasn't to be. I thought first half we did okay, but we just couldn't put the ball in the net. The starting lineup for me, we missed Lamina big time in midfield. Weren't a fan of Martinho being in there. I think he's one to bring off the bench. Adama, although I thought he was probably our best player on the day, I still think he's better to bring off the bench to bring on when players are tired at the back for the opposition team. And yeah, as soon as we couldn't get that goal first half, Bournemouth set up well, got their goal, and literally, I can't remember anything happening really after they scored. We just didn't look like scoring. And it was a really, really poor afternoon. And you'd have took 3 wins out of 4, wouldn't you, in the last 4 games? But I didn't think it'd be a loss to Bournemouth. I thought it'd be a loss to Liverpool and hopefully win the other 3. So still on track, but a very poor performance and very concerning because our strikers can't score.
How concerning is that, Jack? I think we've all sort of said the same kind of thing, that if you don't have strikers scoring goals, they need to come from elsewhere on the pitch. And if that's not happening, then you're going to lose football matches.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the story of our season, hasn't it, really, the fact that we can't score. But it has improved under Lopetegui, and we have been getting goals in games. So I'm hoping that Saturday was just like a little blip rather than a sign of more serious things to come. But I think it was just hopefully just one of those days, wasn't it? But we just probably could have played all day and didn't score. And to be honest, first half, I think we battered them, really. We were much the better team. We kept peppering them. We had lost count of how many corners we had, but we just didn't do anything with it, did we? And I agree with Harry. I think we switched off for the goal. I don't know what was happening really, but that they knew they were only going to get limited chances, and they won the second ball. 2 of their players darted forward. I think it's Bueno and Davis are just asleep and just stand still. And before we know it, we're 1-0 down when really we should have scored 1 or 2 goals probably in the first half because we were by far the better team. And after that, I can't. Do we have another shot or another? Really, we had the one from Neves from distance, and one that I think was going over from Dawson, which was tipped over the bar, but I think it was going over anyway. And it was there was just very little on display, wasn't there? Really, and I know we praised Lopetegui and his tactics in previous weeks, but you could argue that maybe he's got a few things wrong now. And I think players like Kuna, like Sarabia, are they doing enough to justify their starting place, really? And that's probably another question. I agree Traore was probably our best player. He put some great balls in, but as soon as we brought on Costa and Jimenez, who can actually head the ball in the box, we took him off. We didn't put another good ball in. So, yeah, there's just a few question marks there, but I do think it's just a blip in the road. And I honestly couldn't see us losing before the game, and I couldn't see us losing at half time, but they sucker punched us. The heads dropped, and we're out of ideas, and they just went into... We've seen it before with teams like Brentford, the master of the dark arts, didn't they? And just time wasting in any way they can. And we don't like that. We don't like it. We struggle to break these sorts of teams down. And that's 2 games now against Bournemouth this season. And we haven't scored a goal. So,
God, yeah. I've got a little game to play. I mean, Harry has got a quiz later on, but I've got a game. It's who said this. So a couple of messages sent at around 5:25 on Saturday. So who's this? Honestly, I'm better than Raul, Kuna, and Costa up front. And at 17:26, I'm fitter than them all and can only better their goal scoring record. 17:32. Hang on, I'm playing the game. Thinking back, that's actually the worst performance of the season. All this lovely football and created absolutely fuck all. Sarabia is a luxury, and we haven't got a striker. Also at 17:32, teams without a striker or goal scorer don't stay up. 1733. We've had a new manager bounce, and it's back to regular service. Let's play Who Said That?
2 guesses.
Only 2 guesses.
They're
right,
in this
and
stream.
I'm right on every single one of those points,
Yeah,
except
right.
I'm probably not a better footballer than them. But
Probably.
I could do no worse. Could I do any worse than a striker than
Yes.
we've got at Wolves?
Yes.
Score a goal. They don't know where the net is. They've got no idea, have they? I mean, jokes aside, fair enough. I've said stupid things, but some of it is pretty close to the mark. Like, we can't score goals. Teams that don't score goals rarely stay up. And we have had a new manager bounce, and we've played some fantastic football. But those are the sort of performances that can't carry on, can they? Like, we did hammer them. First half, it should have been 2 at least, and we had none. I thought the fans were pretty good. I thought we backed them as much as we possibly could.
What? You thought the fans were good Saturday at Molineux, the Wolves fans?
We were good enough. We were good enough to deserve a performance.
It was a flat atmosphere, Bayliss. Come on.
Well, yeah, because we went 1-0 down and didn't create anything after that.
What about first half? It was 0-0. It was flat.
I thought we created enough chances. They tried to get them towards the goal.
I can't see how you think Molineux was a good atmosphere Saturday. I really can't.
Oh, we weren't 3-0 up against Liverpool, but it was still
exactly.
Not bad.
That's when we should be getting behind them. When we're struggling 0-0 against a team we should be.
Anyway, the atmosphere isn't really the talking point, is it? It's the fact that we cannot score a goal from 3 players whose job it is, and they're paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to stick the ball in the onion bag. And that isn't good enough. Fair enough. We know about Raul. We know what he's been through, but he's clearly not good enough. Costa is past it by a distance. Fair enough. He played well at Southampton, but he isn't going to score a goal. And then Cunha has got these little sparks of looking great. And then he hasn't. Can you remember one where I've seen a few where he's hit a few on target, but nothing that you thought, God, he's going to bury this. And that is.
Do you think it's more of like a bump in the road? I
embarrassing.
think Harry described it as more of a bump in the road rather than a sign of things to come, which is what
Well, it has to be, doesn't it? It has to be a bump in the road. That is what it's got to be, a write-off. Shocking performance. Let's go to Fulham and actually show a bit, because we've had the new manager lift. That's what happened. We've played some great stuff. We've scored some goals, but that was very much straight back into old ways. That was the Wolves team of the last 10 games under Large.
But Bayliss, because we had Matinho in there and Adama starting, so in a way, we've tried to come away from that by starting Lamino, who couldn't play. João Gomez weren't fit enough, as you mentioned last week. So I think going forward, we won't have that problem because we will have the likes of Lamina in there. I think we really missed him. But Adama, man, it's so weird. He's such a... Did you see that one when he kept it in? I think Núñez... Again, he was poor, Núñez, by the way. But Núñez put like a big diagonal cross to him, and it was like going to go miles out for a throw. And Adama, like... Did you remember that when he kept it in?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Ridiculous.
Athleticism.
So, like... Incredible. But it's so hard to criticise Adama because, like I said, he was our main spark, but it was all literally just give it to him and see what happens, isn't it? And I think bringing him on is much the better thing to do. But no fault of Adama. He tried everything he could, didn't he? Let's be honest. And Cunha, it's a tough one because they want him to be the goal scorer, but he's just not that player, is he? He's
Harry,
just not that player at the end of the day.
We could have played that game until Christmas and we wouldn't have scored a goal.
No, and we've had a few games like that this year, haven't we? When other players around the strikers don't score, we're just not going to score, are we? Like the title says, 3 strikers, 0 Premier League goals. When does that happen? When does that happen for a team? It's such a bizarre stat.
1733. Could get the fat number 9 from the Dog and Duck to play up to from 2 for Wolves and wouldn't notice a difference.
That's true. It's absolutely true.
Actually crying looking at these. Oh,
I tell you what.
What did I say today? What was it I put in today about the last time a Wolves striker scored? I was taking the piss, but I bet I'm not far off.
Oh,
wasn't it Raul Jimenez in March?
Last year. But it was quite funny, actually, to be fair. Since Harry last saw a Wolves striker score in the league, there have been 3 prime ministers, 10 natural disasters, a war in Europe, and 2 Super Bowls. That's what it feels
tell you
like.
what, though, Jack and Sam, you can back me up on this. If the amount of gold we could have had on this podcast if we did podcast straight after games, because Bayliss loses his shit, don't he, when we lose?
He does.
When it's that bad.
We could be the best podcast in the world if we just let Bayliss talk. Oh my God. It's not the world.
I can't deal with it. I don't mind losing, right? I don't mind losing a game where you've given a bit, where you've actually tried to win it. Like there's been a bit of fight and you've had chances and you've maybe got 1 and they've scored 2. When it's like, we've had 8 half chances and a few shots on target, but then they've gone and shithoused 1. I mean, I haven't seen the stats. I haven't looked at the stats.
Well, I was just going to give you them, actually.
They can't have had more than 2 shots on target. They can't have had more than 40% possession.
They had 31% possession. So 69% possession for Wolves, 15 shots, 4 on target, 12 corners versus Bournemouth 2.
We can't knock them, though, because we used to do that under Nuno.
Yeah.
We loved it when we did it.
Hang on. No. Under Klopp's rules, though, their goal doesn't count.
No, that's true.
So
they didn't even cross.
So it was actually 0-0
line.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, point on the board. Happy days. I think that the starting lineup was wrong. I think we've just been through it, but it just means that the substitutions are then weak.
What would you change?
I would have started Podence. I know Podence was rubbish when he come on. Like I said, I'd have brought Adama on. Sarabia, he's just is he just the one everyone blames now? Because I think he's looked okay at times. I hope he's not going to be another Trincao and another Guedes. I hope that's not going to happen to him. I don't think
he is, Harry. I think he's better quality than that, but he's just a luxury player. When you're hammering team, when you're on the front foot, he will do those things that changes a game. But when you've actually got to go and grit one out, they're not the sort of players for it. He
shined in the Liverpool game when he was just behind Cunha in the middle, where he's floating around the middle. When he's out on the left of the three, I don't think that's where he wants to be. You know what I mean? I don't think he wants to be cutting. I think he wants to be in the middle, floating about on the ball, putting balls through like he did for Hwang on the first Liverpool goal that day against Liverpool. Sorry. So yeah, it's harsh to criticise him so much. I think, like you say, Sam said, selection was wrong. I know João Gomez probably weren't fit enough, but
he would have been flying high, wouldn't he? After that goal again, scoring the goal that he did against Southampton. A first start in front of the home crowd would have, he'd have been on cloud 9. I just think a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, but as well, but we were all geniuses in hindsight, because I'll be honest, when I looked at the team before the game, I didn't throw my arms in the air or anything and go, oh no. I was like, all right, fair enough. But in hindsight, again, I think he did probably not as wrong as he got it at Man City away for me, but it's still, in hindsight, it probably was the wrong team to pick.
But it's still the same thing. I mean, look at Sam said those stats now, right? That still screams as a problem with a good out-and-out goal scorer. So it's clearly the three of them aren't good enough to do it. Fair enough, Cunha hasn't been here long enough to really overly criticise, but the other two are nowhere near good enough. Who do you start up front? Where's Bonatini? Where's Thomas Frankowski?
Where's Fabio Silva?
I think they're playing in different guys, it seems. So Rich says in the comments we needed to buy an established top-level striker back in September 2020, and we bought a kid from Porto. All our problems stem from that. And like the way Harry's just said, though, hindsight is a brilliant thing. I can remember that transfer window was the one where everyone was, for a change, panicking that we hadn't made signings, and then all of a sudden we were spending money on Nelson Semedo, Fabio Silva, and bringing in players left, right, and centre, it seemed. But do you think it stems from that, Harry? Do you think it does go that far back? Because I think ever since losing Jota, it hasn't really gone to plan at all, because you're taking those goals out, and then obviously Doherty going and you're taking another, 12, 15 goals a season out of the team, and they're not being replaced.
Losing Jota, and I think as soon as that Raul Jimenez injury happened as well, it seems to be stems from that too.
Yeah.
Because you think back to Raul, he'd bang in 20-odd goals a season. He'd score goals out of nothing, wouldn't he? He'd score less than half chances. So, yeah, it stems from that sort of time. And we've never been able to correct it, but someone's got to sort it out. There's been a few managers since Nuno and that injury now that can't seem to sort it out. But it'll come. It'll come. I think Lopetegui will get it sorted. But they made the decision not to bring in an out-and-out striker in January. I still think we're going to be okay. I know there's panic still. I know we're still in a relegation battle, but I still believe we'll be okay. And I still believe when we're up for it and we're playing a team that are a threat and we're not favourites against, we do really well. I think that was part of the problem against Bournemouth. I think we turned up thinking we were just going to win. And I did as well. I thought we were going to win. And psychologically, you can't be like that, especially when you're in a relegation battle. Yeah.
Dangerous.
Totally. I do think we are good enough to go and win enough games to keep us up. But I think we're going to have performances like that again this season.
I think we're talking about players that are luxuries and nice to have. I'm looking at it, and I think Kevin in the comments has said something along similar lines, that Núñez, for me, falls into that category at the moment. I just don't see where the money's gone, to be honest. There's not the consistency in those performances from him. And they're talking about, going to Liverpool, this, that, and the other. He should be in the shop window. He's not got 6 months left on his contract like Traore.
Yeah. He's not justifying the hype, is he? Really, overall,
No.
I think we're looking at it through, and probably myself included, probably because of all the hype that's surrounded him, giving him more of a break than I would if he was just an unknown from somewhere else. But because we think he's going to be leaving us probably potentially for Liverpool in the close season, I think maybe we're giving him more of a break than we probably should be, because some of his passing's been just a bit dodgy lately, hasn't it? He's been hitting the ball out of play, misplaced passes, these sorts of things. Away. Granted, I know people are saying he hasn't always been playing in his preferred position. He hasn't had the opportunity or the space to run at players, which is where he's really strong. But, the bits he was involved in on Saturday, there was instances where the ball went to him and the move broke down because of him, just for whatever reason, not misreading a pass, not playing it simply. So, yeah, I mean, overall with the performance, though, I'm not getting too carried away with it. We were bottom 2 months ago on Christmas Day. We were bottom, and we're 15th now. And I think if we'd have beaten Bournemouth, none of us would even be thinking about relegation talk now. I think that would have put us clear of them and Southampton. Really, I don't think they'd have caught us. So it's just one of these things. We've got to take it on the chin. Maybe we got a little bit complacent, but I still think we're going to be absolutely fine because Lopetegui will sort it out.
Yeah. Can I ask a question of you all? We've obviously had a problem with strikers and scoring these goals. Would all of you now take these sort of mocked strikers like a Chris Wood type or a Danny
He's gone to
Ings
Nottingham
type?
Forest, didn't he?
Yeah,
I know what you mean, though.
But you know what I mean? These guys that aren't mega money, but they've scored goals in the Premier League and they've helped teams in the past. Would you take a player like that now?
I said it before, though. I mean, the genius of Chris Wood going to Newcastle last year was how much it weakened Burnley, a relegation rival. It was probably worth more to Newcastle that they had taken Burnley's main, realistically, goal threat away
100%.
rather than actually him fixing any problems for them. Which is why I said, go after Che Adams at Southampton or go after Rodrigo at Leeds. Those are the sort of players, I think, that probably would fall into that category. Maybe not as much as Chris Wood, because I think he does come in for a lot of criticism. But I think those are the kind of transfers that are clever transfers. They're ones where you go, now, actually, we're strengthening our squad, but we're weakening their starting 11. And
it's too late now, though, isn't it?
It's too late now. Of course it is.
Just reminded me, though.
It's a good question.
Can you remember? Have you heard the story of? It reminded me of Bayless for some reason. Have you heard the story of Harry Redknapp in 1994 when he was in a pre-season game? And
he signed a fan on the pitch.
Yeah, he signed a player called Lee Chapman, like a new big striker, £1 million at the time. Everyone's buzzing. The bloke in the stands, he's giving Harry Redknapp dog's abuse, and he goes, "Right, if you're so good, you go on." He's obviously had a few pints, had a few fags, whatever, and runs on the pitch, has a spare kit on. 20 minutes later, he scores a goal. The fan scores.
It's such a good
You can
story.
look it up. The Guardian newspaper actually found the fan and interviewed him about it.
I saw that.
There's not much evidence. There's no video, because obviously it's 1994. There's no camera footage. There's a few pictures of the bloke. He's got like number 3 on, and he said he couldn't believe his luck when the ball dropped to him and he hit it.
That's it.
Imagine that.
Such a good story.
I could imagine Bayless doing it pre-season. We're on where are we? Walsh's Meadow or fucking
running on. Yeah, running on, being sick.
I'm fitter than all these. Lopetegui's like, right, mate, shut up, get on.
I'll tell you what, I'm definitely fitter than Costa.
Oh, for God's sake.
Weirdly, I mean, Costa's actually not that much older than us, is he? He's about
a couple of years, isn't it?
Is he not?
Scary.
Yeah, he's 34.
About 45.
He does look. He's always looked about 45. To be fair, was there any light at the end of the tunnel, Jack?
Not in the second half, no. It was just painful, really, wasn't it? And not helped by the fact that Bournemouth were just doing exactly what we'd probably do in the same situation. Like I said, just trying to slow everything down, going down for anything, just breaking up the play as much as possible. So I think that's the most disappointing. I mean, overall, first half performance, apart from not being able to score a goal, you got to be happy with it. We were so much better than them, but it's the reaction to us letting the goal in. There wasn't the response which really I think we should be getting. We should at least be trying a little bit harder. Credit to Bournemouth, they did their job and they knew what they were trying to do, but we needed more of a reaction, and that's probably a reaction from the players, from the fans, from Lopetegui actually, with the changes that he made. But it's just one of these things. I reckon they'll come out fighting at Fulham. It's a difficult place to go, Fulham, because they're flying, aren't they? Really, It's going to be a tough game on Friday, but as we just said, that sometimes plays into our hands because we liked that. That
is the light. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. Is a massive bollocking. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. Is that being that bad at home in front of your fans against a team you should be beating? They must have been destroyed by him.
I think it's compounded as well by the fact that Everton and Southampton got wins, and that makes a difference at the end of the table, doesn't it? So whereas in previous weeks where we've got other results have tended to go our way, it's actually this week it's sort of done the opposite, and we've lost, and then teams around us have gone and got 3 points. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I mean there are teams down there that you just wouldn't have expected at the beginning of the season to be down there. I mean West Ham would certainly fall into that category. Maybe not so much Everton, Leeds and Southampton, but then Leicester and Palace aren't even out of it yet. So you got Forest in there as well. But let's have a talk about Fulham. We've already mentioned them. Harry, do you think there'll be some changes? It seems that he likes to tweak and tinker with the side.
Well, straight away, Lemina's back in, isn't he? Straight back in. See, it'd be harsh to drop Adama. Although I've banged on about bring him on, it's better to bring him on. He was our best player, so technically I'd be gutted if I was Adama and I got dropped. But I hear, on the one positive note, don't quote me on this, because it's one of them where you see it at a glance online. I think Mitrovic might be injured for Fulham, which is obviously huge for us because he's a great goal scorer for them. I think it's going to be interesting because they've got the player we went for. Is it Polinia who we went for?
Yeah.
He's in the midfielder. He's done really well for them. And like you said, I think Jack mentioned they're 6th in the table. And talking about like teams you're not expecting to be somewhere where they are, like I never would have thought Fulham would be pushing up towards 6th place. Like they're kind of having this sort of season we had when we got promoted, aren't they? So yeah, really tough game. But at the same time, I don't know why I said it straight after the game Saturday. I've got a weird feeling that we're going to go there and get the win. I don't know why. Something tells me we'll be up for it. We'll have a response. And I think you look at the two teams, I think we're the better team when you go through the squad list. Yeah, we'd love to have Mitrovic, but I think the depth we've got and the quality we've got, I think we've got enough to go and beat them. And we've got a good manager.
European spot.
Yeah, but what you don't, I think we can go and beat them.
But our form has been European form level. Take away the Bournemouth game since Lopetegui's come in. Like I think we're in a bit of a false position now, because if we'd have had him since the start of the season and he'd brought his own players in, I don't think we'd be as close to relegation as we currently are, really. And the change in such a short amount of time, is quite staggering, really. And maybe now saying this out loud, we need to be giving these players who I've called out already, just like Kuna and Sarabia, a bit more time, because they've not been part of the squad very long at all, really. And I have been putting in some shifts, so. It's a process that's going to take a bit of time. I think we're just getting a little bit carried away about how good it's been so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's been a hell of a turnaround, hasn't it?
Their form since Christmas is pretty damn good as well.
Yeah. Did you say something on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Dan, that their expected goals and goals against was actually quite fraught?
It's the most different of given their position, if that makes sense. So they've got the least goals expected for the goals they have actually scored, and the most goals against expected for the ones that they've actually conceded, if that makes sense. Just like a bit of a falsehood.
It's like the opposite of us at the start of the season, where we're creating loads of chances but couldn't score. They're creating fewer chances but scoring more than they should. Yeah.
Because Mitro's lethal, isn't he? Mitrovic.
If he is injured, that's massive.
He is, yeah, it is. But you're talking to strikers. You say we're being harsh and whatever. I think you can't look past the fact that we have got no goals for our three strikers. I know. So who do you start? Do you go with Cunha again? Because I don't think I would. I think I'd start Costa if it was up to me. I know he did nothing when he come on, but I think I would start Costa. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think I would.
I think he's offered the most in the last couple of games, because he came on at Southampton and really did change it. I thought he was really brilliant, and it didn't have the same effect against Bournemouth. But I know what you're saying about Traore as well, because looking at it, he was by far the best player in the front three, but he's probably the most likely to be dropped on the Friday. So
going back to talking nonsense now, would the Fulham fans hate Costa more, which might G him up a bit because he was at Chelsea?
Maybe.
They're a bit too much of a friendly club, aren't they? I don't.
Is Lamina ex-Fulham as well?
Yes, Lamina, good shout. Yeah.
Oh, he's getting sent off again then, brilliant.
I won't break the habit of a lifetime. Fulham have kept a clean sheet in each of their last 3 Premier League games, despite facing 43 shots across those 3 matches. Quite an incredible stat. Just shows that actually peppering their goal doesn't really matter. Is it Leno in goal? The ex-Arsenal keeper?
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
They got Willian as well, haven't they?
They got Willian
playing really well.
Yeah. So they've got maybe they've got decent players in there and stuff. But I think the last time we played them at the Cottage, April 2021, that was a 1-0.
Adama, that was the big result, wasn't it, at the time? I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, because I think after the game, the interview with Scott Parker, who would have been manager at the time, was doing the rounds, and they'd put the Streets music to his
that was brilliant
pre-match interview back in the day with the cardigan. Score prediction, Dan.
1-1 draw.
Who's going to score?
Own goal.
Saar. Own goal. Harry.
2-0 Wolves.
Who's going to score?
Cunha and Bueno.
Wow. Jack.
I don't know why it's just come to me, but 0-0.
God, you're not normally far off. I fancy Cunha to get his first goal. There you go. I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves, of course. Let's have a look at your latest betting odds and ticket news.
Not great odds. I don't know why. It's a Friday night game. You'd have thought there'd have been a few more specials and boosts about and stuff. The only boost I found is that you can get 4-1 on each team to have 2 or more corners in each half. And given that we had about 400 corners on Saturday, worth a tenner. I've just done a couple of scorecasts. 1-0 Wolves and Neves to score at 45-1.
Ooh.
I was going to be negative before, but I actually fancy we'll get a result. But 2-0 and Polina, 2-0 Fulham and Polina to score just because he's been linked with us. It's 95-1. There's not a lot of value out there.
No, there isn't.
But I have gone with Cunha 2-1 Wolves. I did this earlier. 50-1.
That just seems short, doesn't it, for someone that has 0 goals? Has no goals, and any more?
No, I only did a couple. Sorry.
Yep. Jack's got ticket news.
Yeah, I do. There's not a lot to say, actually, really. The 2 upcoming away games, Liverpool away and Newcastle away, are both pretty much sold out. I think you might be able to get one for Newcastle because it's quite a big allocation. But very few remaining there for both of them. I think Liverpool was officially a sellout before it even went on sale, unless there were any return tickets knocking around from the rearranged fixture. And the home games, the next one is against Spurs on the 4th of March. That is sold out. And the next home game after that is against Leeds. And I think there's a few knocking around for that one. That's on the 18th of March. But yeah, not much to say, really. Most of the stuff coming up in the immediate games is pretty much sold out.
Close shop FC.
Well, it's because we've got a bit better, haven't we? That's why. It's hard to get a ticket.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Be empty again after losing to Bournemouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's reopening. Nelson Semedo has an extension option in favour of Wolves, and it looks like the club are going to take that up. We'll go to our wing-back correspondent to chat that through. Dan, is that a good thing to do?
I thought he's looked a lot more positive, hasn't he, under the Lopetegui style of football? The fact he's actually crossing the halfway line and getting forwards, opening the play up a bit more. To be honest, I'm not particularly fussed about anything to do with wing-backs and contracts and stuff. There's only one position that we're desperately in need of sorting out. I don't care if we don't sign anybody for the next 3 transfer windows. It's as long as in the summer we get in a striker that's going to bag us 15 goals a season.
Who would that be?
Might as well be Fat Barry from the Dog and Duck for all I care. Don't care. Anyone.
Marino at Leeds got 10. Almiron's got 10. Maddison's got 9.
Almiron's more of a winger, isn't he?
We want strikers, not midfielders, don't we?
Yeah.
That's true.
They wouldn't come to us anyway, would they?
Yeah.
Right.
The Coventry striker, go back in. We were linked with him. Is it Gyökeres? Don't know if he'll come.
Yeah. This is
hell of a championship. It's a bit of a gamble, though, isn't it? Yeah, getting some out of the lower leagues, I guess. But
I'd have taken Danny Ings.
He got injured straight away, though, didn't he? So that'd have happened to us. His knees are fucked. But
might have to look at who ends up going down, to be honest, which I know is never the great thing to do, signing players from a team that's got relegated. But, there could be some big teams go down. Well, I don't know, really. It's
didn't do anything Saturday. Although they didn't get him the ball very often.
I know he's not really a striker, but I really like the look of that Morgan Gibbs-White at Forest. So if they go down...
Yeah, and his missus, actually, they're a power couple.
Yeah, I think they'd fit in really well in the community as well. And I like the way she interacts with fans on Twitter. I think it'd make a good feel around the community on Twitter. So yeah,
To be a power couple in Nottingham, all you need is a gun.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
For full disclosure, Bayliss has lived in Nottingham, and what happened at that bookies?
Yeah,
You got shot.
I think no, it didn't get. A bookies got held up the night I was supposed to work there, but I couldn't do the shift because when they called me to work it, I was already in the pub getting pissed.
Oh, not like you.
That's genuinely true.
Sam.
Beer saved my life.
Beer saved the world. That's a brilliant documentary, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Harry has got a quiz, and I hope it goes better than the last quiz. The way me and Jack were sat here waiting for the comments to fill up with the answers and then quickly passing them off as our own. But Harry, I will pass over to you.
So you mentioned the last quiz, just you and Jack. Similar sort of thing this week. You got Bayliss to help you. You all take it in turns, give it an answer. There's 11 answers to get. And because we've talked about Wolves strikers and goals, I thought I'd have a look back. And you've got to try and get, since 1997, Wolves strikers that have scored on their debut.
Ooh.
So
I'm
go around
fairly sure Robbie Keane did, didn't he?
All right.
Are you going first?
Do you want to go first? Just shout out. You want to go? Yeah.
I thought it was in the round.
I'm going to go with Sam first.
I know what he's going to say now.
They ran in circles, and there's 11 to get. And if you start struggling, we will look to the comments, but try not to cheat because last time you both cheated, didn't you?
Who's going second?
So I'll turn it off.
Jack second, and Bailey's third. Yeah.
Leah Bonatini.
Brilliant.
I was going to say Bonatini.
Leo Bonatini scored against Middlesbrough in 2017 on his debut in the Championship. Jack?
Yeah, sound. Since when do you say? Since what year?
1997.
Why are you building it up like you're not going to
just a disclaimer as well. Can I just a disclaimer, because the last quiz we did, I did get something wrong, so it's my own research. There probably is more out there.
You know
I did say Donovan Wilson. Remember?
Yeah,
I said Donovan Wilson had never scored for Wolves. He actually did against Southampton in the League Cup. So sorry about that for those who did spot that. But yeah, go on, Jack.
The get out, Harry, is always, it's got to be written down on my piece of paper, and then that clears you of any problems.
I'm going to give Dan a lifeline here because I'm pretty sure on our first Premier League game, Stefan Everson scored for us against Blackburn.
You could be right, but I didn't write that one down. It was, and I remember that, Jack.
It lost 5-1.
I think wasn't that the second game?
Was it not Stefan Everson?
No, it was definitely the first game.
It was.
It could, that would have been wrote down, but so you're wrong. But keep going, Baelish. Do you want to say Robbie Keane?
I don't know what year it is now. It could be earlier than 97.
It was not. Yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, it was 1997 against Norwich. Robbie Keane is one, so 9 to go. Back round to you, Sam.
On their debut. Ebanks Blake.
No.
Oh.
Sat Jack?
Oh, God, I don't know now. It's difficult, isn't it? I was convinced Stefan Everson was correct.
There's 9, there's loads. There's a few from this year. This year's squad, should I say. But they're in the team now.
I don't think Jimenez did he? Did he?
Oh God! Did you want to say Jimenez?
Yeah, I'll say Jimenez. Yeah,
against Everton. I can't remember.
He's glancing header, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think
Jimenez versus Everton in 2018, first Premier League game. Bayliss. So there's 8 left.
I'm
trying to speed it up a bit.
I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, should we get chat involved? Right, put the comments.
I'm fairly sure Hwang scored in his debut, but is that class as a striker?
Yes, I've put Hwang in because I think that does count against Watford in 2021. There we go, 7 left.
Well, I'm going to go for the one that scored the one in the Blackburn, then, and I think that was Henri Kamara.
No, Kamara didn't score on his debut. It took him about a year to score, didn't it? If you remember.
Should
we go to the comments? Someone has got one in the comments. Should I say it?
Yeah.
Benicophobe, that is right. He got his goal against Blackpool in 2015 on his debut. Jack?
Carl Court. I don't
know. No. Bayliss? I'll read out chat now if they get it.
Random Wolves. Fletcher scored a few.
Yes, there we go. Against Stoke in 2010.
Chris Uwalumo?
No. Jack?
Kevin Kyle?
No. I'll start giving you clues soon because it's going to get hard.
Dean Sturridge.
Brilliant shout, yes.
Wow,
Dean
what
Sturridge
a shout
scored
that
against
is.
Wimbledon in 2001.
Stephen Elliott?
No.
Ooh.
Think Fosinera, the first big striker we got, to start giving clues.
Well, the first big striker we got?
Away at Barnes. Away at who was it away at? It was away at Reading.
Is it the guy with the ridiculously long name?
Jon Daddy Budvarsson.
Daddy Budvarsson, 2016 versus Reading.
Oh, I reckon I've got one.
Got a
Joe Mason.
no.
Oh, shout! Oh,
So
Cardiff?
you've got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 left to get.
Give
They're
us a
hard.
clue. Give us a clue.
One
us
of
a-
them.
give us-
One of them played
give
up
us time
front.
period.
One of them
Yeah.
played up front in the playoff final in 2003.
Blake.
Nathan Blake against Norwich in 2001.
Good pick.
One of
Miller?
them always used to come on for Mick McCarthy in the early years. Welsh.
Oh, what? Sam Vokes.
Sam Vokes.
Oh, but
brilliant.
yeah, Plymouth. He did. Yeah, he scored at Plymouth.
Plymouth for 2008. You got one left, which is
We're
quite
saying
a
Andy
hard
Keogh
one.
in the comments.
No, it's not Andy Keogh. If it is Andy Keogh, I just didn't look that up in my research.
Can you give us
I'm
a
sorry.
clue?
The one, he's under Nuno. He went through 1-on-1 away at Man City a few times in cup competitions.
Oh,
Sure.
the win back. What's he called?
No, strikers, isn't it?
Oh shit! Won it Man
Helder
City a few
Costa?
times.
No, that was at Liverpool.
No. Under Nuno, championship season, would always come off the bench, sometimes played on the wing.
Costa.
Caballero.
No, strikers.
Strikers.
He did play out and out up front a lot. He went through 1-on-1 against Man City in the League Cup a few
I
times.
just can't. I can't get over.
Was it Enna Bakari?
Yes, Anna Bakari.
Oh,
He scored
okay.
against Barnet on his League Cup debut. Right, someone put in the comments Marahofer. I think that's the right answer. I think he did score his debut, but I didn't research that one. So shout out to Michael Burge. That's a great shout.
Was
Was that the
Jota.
bloke with the 20-inch neck?
Jota did not score on his debut, no. Anyway, so yeah, that's the 11 I got. Well done.
That's good.
Some
I like
other
that.
notables who scored on their debuts from before 1997. Neto scored on his debut, but obviously I cast him as a winger. Derek Dugan, but that was before 97. Remember Kat Spire from Newcastle in the 90s?
Is that the guy that kicked the side?
Yes, Baldy. Willie Carr, that's a classic. Willie Carr, that's an old classic.
Yeah.
Andy Gray. Andy Gray.
We're missing
Craig
one, but-
Dawson. Craig Dawson v
that's the one I
Liverpool.
was gonna say.
João Gomez.
Did
But they're not
Bully not
strikers, so I
score on
didn't
his
have
Wolves
them in.
debut?
Hey?
Did Bully not score on his Wolves debut?
Apparently not, because I'm sure that would have been in there in my research. But if he did, I look right.
Well, that wouldn't have been.
Cat Spire was a midfielder. Yeah, Aquatic Rage. That's why I didn't add him in. I'll just name some other notables.
Some notables. Just
Some
for fun.
notables that weren't strikers.
Mm.
I'll tell you what I thought was, sorry, when I started, I thought Freddie Eastwood did, but he didn't. He scored on his full debut, but he come on as sub in his first game. He didn't score. But there we go. There's probably a lot more out there. People are probably remembering them, but they're the ones I researched.
That would take a lot of research in that would, so fair play. So thank you.
Well, I just found out random articles that popped up and just went through what they put. So
Okay.
Paul
Well,
Birch is
don't
definitely
downplay
one.
it.
Paul Birch is one. Aquatic Rager, well done.
Who else have we got?
Yeah.
I've got the comments back now.
Yeah, Paul Birch is one. I
Keogh.
did see that Aquatic Rager, but I didn't add it in.
Keogh
Just
not
before
one?
97.
Oh, hang on. Did Jay Bothroyd not?
No.
No? Yeah,
No.
scored that absolute screamer, didn't he, away at Leeds?
Steve Ball did in the cup against Tranmere Rovers, apparently.
Well, there we go.
I'll take your word for it, Richard.
You live and learn. Perfect. Right. Okay. Bayliss is in. He didn't want anyone to know this. He's in a box or something on Friday. He's
Not like
in
you,
a
Bayliss.
box.
You're a man of the people.
Can you believe it? It's so out of character
Yeah.
for Dan to be in the box.
I'm not
Well,
in
usually,
the
yeah.
stand.
You look
Thank
so
you.
out of place.
At Fulham.
You're
I'm
gonna
going to
love it.
get
Oh,
myself a
God.
prawn sandwich.
You're going to be. You'd be the perfect Fulham fan, wouldn't you? Oh my.
You
God.
would.
Yeah, you would actually. Yeah.
You would. I don't know. Maybe he's a bit too angry for. Yeah. Although he mellows through the week.
Or like Peterborough.
Palace, maybe.
Peterborough, yeah. Oh, Brentford, maybe. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Well, best of luck if you are going. Wave to Dan. He'll be in the box, even though he says he isn't going to be. We'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell,
Yes, goodbye, everyone.
Jack Williams,
See you later.
and Sir Daniel Bayliss.
I'm not in a box. Goodbye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.